first. Hey, how y'all doing? This is Cloud the Wanderer, aka KLA, the whatever. I got that's Steve Scibelli, if I'm saying that right.
Scibelli.
Scibelli.
Shabelle.
Scibelli. Okay, Steve Scibelli, a producer from All Films and other things that he do. He's an admirer of female muscle. And I got my man, all the rage, George Page, aka the Joker. I appreciate you guys coming.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah. I love to come with some anarchy. I just, it's just so beautiful. I like dynamite and gasoline. Hello there, Steve. Your content, it completes me.
Good. I am so glad it completes somebody.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
If I can complete somebody, I feel as if it's almost an intimate relationship.
So, the reason why, I brought this together, because I seen your IG page, and it's like, wow, he's he's a producer of All Films. And going back, I remember like the first All Film that I seen was the Black Widow with Khalid Mom, and that video was seducing.
It
And
was.
when I
agree.
see, yeah, trust me, I remember I try to draw from that. Like I try to do like a comic strip with that. I'm telling you, I
Cool.
liked it that, but yeah, I think it got taken off by copyright, and I don't know what happened, but I was watching that like all the time, and I would just try to draw it from my notebook and stuff like that, because I was kind of trying to be like a comic book or something like that. And yeah, so that kind of like, like my thing is, I would kind of draw muscles, and I would like animate them and stuff like that,
Right,
and
right.
and yeah, and do video slides. And so, I when I looked at your page, I had to just get you, and I had to get George, because in the past he does this muscle talk with his boy Jen,
Jen.
and yeah, Jen, and he has done like certain things about topics about like interview like the female bodybuilders, how they
Right.
go into the industry and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's why I got him aboard and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Cool.
cause
So
I interviewed last year. I know one lady most definitely, Nancy Lewis. I interviewed her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Sue Price.
Of course,
Also
she's one of the
yeah,
golden age.
and the lady I consider she was a dear friend of mine, the late Wanda Lee Charisma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking back and forth a good bit. She passed away from, cancer, and she was a
Yeah.
wonderful lady. I sent her a care package every so often. She was great. I mean, I've been a fan of bodybuilding since I was as a teenager. My older brother used to collect he used to play football here. I'm from North Carolina, and he
Right.
plays football. Football is very big in the South, as you know that. And he used to get the muscle mags, like guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Plaza, Frank Zane, Lee Haney, and
Oh
those
yeah.
guys.
Sure.
Yeah, and then by the '80s, pretty much by then, because I was born in '74, grew up in the part of the '80s, and then I grew up with the era of you had Corey Everson, you had Richard McLeish, you had Angela Langer, Juliet Bergman, Sandy Radal, Linda
The
Murray,
Yeah, the golden age,
the
right? I
golden age,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
yeah,
I think I start seeing your stuff around about the good part of the like about the mid '90s, like you talk about Colette Gourmand and so those ladies were Renee Johns and so many like that one with Colette with Christine involved, which is like this super,
Oh, the
yeah,
growth experiment.
yeah, where she's a scientist and she transforms, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
classic. Mm.
yeah.
Mhm.
the scientist with the bright red lips,
Yeah,
and
I
then
remember
she
she lifting the
turns
weights and
into
she
Colette
beating.
Duvall, kind of a
Yeah,
cop doctor, I think she
yeah
was.
she beating the guy with the weights. I mean, Colette was
Yeah,
massive, especially she was short. She really was massive for short.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
She was like a Johnny Pump. She was like a fire plug, you know. She was
yeah.
just yeah.
I think someone second to her was Paula Suzuki. She was also.
I love Paula Suzuki. That back, that lat spread was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Paula, I was always surprised she never ever got to do an Olympia during her career.
Is that true? See,
No, no,
the
she
funny
said
thing
she.
is, I never followed the I never follow women's bodybuilding as a sport. It was always for me. It was a fantasy. It was eroticism. It was
Yeah,
attraction. So Rowena
yeah,
and
me
I
too.
never really handled our films like a sport page. We were always a fantasy fetish page. You know, that was always
Mhm.
our interest. We wanted them to be comic characters. You know, or comic book characters, fantasy
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah, because you had a lot of great, like we have, like you still, the site's still up, and still going. You have a lot of variety from anything from just weight to heavy lifting to mixed boxing. It's a lot of good content you made over the years.
Well, thank you,
Mm.
thank you.
You're welcome. No, 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 sir. Like I'm gonna quote my enemy, Batman. You never have to thank me.
So Steve, like you're from New York, NYC, right?
Correct.
Okay. Oh
Born in
yeah.
Brooklyn, but but I don't live there no more.
No, you're living
All
in
right.
Brooklyn soup.
I'm upstate New York now. Me and Rowena live
Oh,
up in the
okay.
country. We live up in the country.
Well, I
Mhm.
live in
You're
Brooklyn.
you're children. I'm 62 years old, so you know.
Well, I grew up in the country. I actually grew up in the country. Like I said, and yeah,
In
I
North
live here.
Carolina.
Yeah, I live in town. My family, we work farms and stuff like that. We share crop, and that's how we grew up. And then after that, we moved in town. I had at least two or three different jobs over the careers. I used to work at a strip club. Was one of my jobs, and it's like you.
Not a bad gig.
Whenever this is what I like this. If the money's good, the ladies are cool. If it's not, they're gonna be like pissy at any other woman.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah,
It is
but
funny how income does alter relationships somehow.
yeah,
Yeah.
but how did you start everything? How you start this whole is as far as guys who are me and KL here, we became fans of these buff, lovely ladies.
Well, obviously, I was really into muscle chicks. And I think it started from probably reading. I was a Marvel kid. I liked Marvel comics, and I also love science fiction. So I was a subscriber to Famous Monsters of Filmland and Creepy Magazine and Eerie Magazine, and I always loved Marvel. Female characters, especially Big Barda. Nobody remembers Big Barda, but
Big
Big
Bar is
Yeah,
Barda.
I
married.
remember Big Barter.
I
Yeah.
She
loved Big
she
Barda. She
yeah.
was
Mr.
Jack, and she
Miracles,
picked up
Superman.
heavy shit, and she
No, his
threw
that's
it
his
at
wife.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Big
yeah,
Barda
yeah,
was
his wife.
cool.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
lifted heavy shit and threw it around, and she was super strong, and I loved it. And then I was really into Pam Grier. Oh my God, I
Oh my
was in
God,
love with
Foxy
Pam Grier.
Brown,
She
Coffee
kicked.
Brown.
She,
Oh my
she had
God,
boobs, and she
she
had bad,
she
and she knocked down doors, and she
she
kicked ass, and
the, the,
I liked her.
the woman 70 still looks good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
can't believe it. She's like, I mean, I watched the movies back in the day, and she was in Jackie Brown, and
Of course,
she
and
had that big resurgence at the
Coffee
part of
and Sheila
yeah,
Baby and
yeah. Friday, Foster.
Friday for it's funny. Friday Foster is one I never saw.
Oh, I saw
I
that
saw
dozens of times.
Coffee and Sheila Brown and Foxy, whatever.
Yeah, I saw
But
that one. I saw it
yeah,
plenty of time.
of course, if you see Pam Grier next to a contemporary bodybuilder, Pam Grier looks like a hot normal woman.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
the attitude. It was the vibe, right? It was the
Hmm.
vibe. It was the Amazonian vibe. And growing up and being into all of that sort of trash cinema and exploitation cinema and interest in like Amazonian chicks sort of came together. And so when me and Rowena, who I think is like a fucking kick-ass Amazonian woman, we decided to start AweFilms because of the internet. The internet changed our lives. You know, the .com boom of the mid '90s
Hmm.
was an epiphany for us, and we just saw an opportunity and we went with it.
Hmm.
With something that is not very popular worldwide, right? I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
we are in a rarefied uh, society. The three of
yeah,
us, we
yeah,
you know,
yeah. The thing is with
Yeah,
bodybuilding, people don't like the aspect of women changing their bodies because the idea of women supposed to be soft and feminine. And we see these women like people like Andrew Shaw. I just saw her. She just did photo session with Bill Dobbins and Linda Murray in Detroit.
right.
Andrea is she's just the pinnacle for bodybuilding right now. Great muscle, very beautiful, just amazing. And he
Well,
said,
yeah,
mhm,
I have a
no,
question. How do you, to Steve? How do you connect with these women? Like, how
as a
did
business,
you able?
as a business, right? They are, they are athletes. They have lives. A lot of them are amateurs. A lot of them are pros, but they have lives. They have kids. They have jobs. They have whatever they have, right? They have a life, and so we approach them as a business. We run a company. We'd like to hire you for modeling if you're interested. This is what we can. This is, and then we negotiate and we work it out. You try to be. It's easy for me to be very professional and not to, because it's a crazy business. It could be very, very
Right,
funky,
yeah,
and we don't play that. We are very straight up.
right,
Um, and it's a funky business, especially for the women, the bodybuilders that do all kinds of, other services besides just focusing on professional bodybuilding.
mhm,
So it's that's so we approach it like we want to know, we want to hire people. So we're a business, and that's how we do it. We introduce ourselves in a letter, a text, an email. No goofiness, and they respond, and we take it from there. We're very clear in what we do. They can certainly see what we do, um, and then it's just our our imaginations, in what we want to. Our brand is, a lot of people can shoot women with muscles. I guess. I think most of it
right,
sucks. I think most of it's boring. I do. I think most of it's really boring, and so we like to think that we produce things a little bit more juicy
right.
and interesting. But at the
Yeah,
same
it's
time, it's
interesting.
it's always about it's always about their bodies and about their physical accomplishments. I mean, it takes a lot to do what they do. It's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of work. So uh,
How
you
much?
know,
I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
No, how much revenue you gain in like making these videos? Like,
I'm not going to talk about our business.
all
I'll
right.
talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
I
You
was
the
just
man. See,
no, no, no,
the
no,
dude's not
no,
gonna give you the
no.
secrets because you give the secrets, it cuts into his money. The basics is like this. Like when you do you go by the resume of the woman? Do you just particularly like say like when you approach them, and like you said, as we all know, a lot of these ladies have to deal with people harassing them. Like I do interviews with ladies where we talk about how sometimes the one thing about it is there's guys who like talk about when we say you're a man, you try to be a man, but at the same time they're going to the DMs to sneak a little crazy shit and like that. But then they have to be self aware because I know with my in my experience when I reach out, sometimes I have to be very, cautious of what I say, how I say it. I don't want to come off too schmoish, but at the same time, I don't want to be too like, just you want to keep it business, but at the same time, you want to be very, you know, just cordial.
Sure, I am what you call a cordial schmo. I am a complete. I absolutely, and they know it. They know I'm crazy about them, and they're driving me crazy when I'm shooting them and all
Mm,
that. But that's fine. That's fine.
yeah,
do,
like I
do
think
they give you a hard time? Like some women?
No, actually, most of the time, um, I find that I'm easy to work with, and I think that one of the things we're able to do is create a fun, creative environment. Uh, once you introduce yourself and you establish your energy is a cool vibe, things are very smooth. You never want to you work within a model's comfort zone, right? You don't want to
Right.
put anybody in a situation where they're not cool with it and they don't
Mhm.
know and so there's no issues like that. Really, there's a lot that can be done fun and creatively with the model feeling very comfortable and able to work within their limits. Some have no limits. I'm happy. That's fine. I'm fine. If they have no limits and they go crazy, that's fine. I'll shoot it. But don't have to, you know, because there's always going to be something to shoot when you're working with a muscular woman. There's always going to be something worth shooting. So,
But we got some comments from Rolando. Wow, this is awesome.
what is?
The creator. No, this I guess what we doing. The
Oh,
creator of all films. Wow, it's okay. I used
hello.
to get muscle. I used to get Muscle Mag back in the days,
I used to, for
and
me, the real magazine was Women's Physique World. That was the
yeah,
one. Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
yeah, I
god!
I
got
used to like.
yeah.
Yeah, I used
I,
to get that a lot.
I
I
still have them. If anybody wants them, I'll mail them to you.
hey hey hey
Practically,
I got a bunch of mine too. I got a collection with my comic books and my
I can't
other
seem
muscle
to throw them
mags.
out. I can't seem to make myself throw them out. They're ancient, but I still keep them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
those are
remember I
classic.
missed them in the newsstands. I missed that in the newsstands. I used to
There are
always
no newsstands
any chance.
anymore.
No, I'm just like before. Like I used to like pick them up in the newsstand.
Oh
Or
yeah,
yeah,
and the
a
guy
lot.
would put it in a like a the guy the guy at the counter would put it like in a brown paper bag, like it was porn. But I was like, no, man, no, no bag for me. I am
See,
proudly wearing, I am walking with my muscle magazine. I don't need a bag to cover it up.
Steve, let me tell you this true story. I was like about maybe 15, 16, and
Right.
we went on a field trip, and we went to Raleigh. That's our county. That's our biggest county. That's our state seat. And we
Sure.
went to,
Raleigh.
I forgot we went to the museum like that. And I stopped by his bookstore. And at the bookstore, they had an issue of Women's Physique World, and it was Linda Murray on the cover. And I
Well,
remember while I was in the line, there was two ladies behind the register saying, "Oh, where you got this for?" I said, "Hey, just if I was a really badass, I could have said something really smart, but I said, nah, just buy my book and just get out of there." And the thing is that when people see something like that, they just get like, "Wow!" But I love those magazines. They were great magazines. I
they
still
were
got a
great.
bunch of them. I
They were
mean, that
great.
I also have a friend. If you ever heard, his name is Glenn Young Senior, and he's creating a new magazine called Amazon Fitness Magazine, where
Yeah.
and it's really where he's recently just did interviews and some stuff. He went to nationals, and it's really trying to bring it back because the last few
Sure.
years you
Tough.
don't. Yeah, the last few years you don't really see the muscle mags anymore. It used to be the muscle mags would be really thick. You had Flex and Iron Man like that, but they really pushed out the women bodybuilders. You
Well,
don't, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, they did. But at the same time, you don't see any magazines anymore. Everything is online.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you were mentioning, going to a newsstand. There really aren't newsstands anymore like I
yeah,
remember them. They had thousands of
yeah.
magazines.
yeah.
They had
Right,
remember they had Iron Man and they had
right.
and yeah
Muscle
and then
development.
they had, yeah, what was his name? Joseph Kennedy. Remember Joseph Kennedy?
I
Was it?
think was it,
Joseph.
was it Kennedy?
Yeah, he was a
I think.
Canadian guy that promoted women's
Oh, muscle
bodybuilding.
development. I think it was
Was
muscle.
it?
I mean, it was either he was doing muscle development or he was doing. I think it was muscle development
It
because I was
might
out of
have been.
Canada. Yeah, I
It
was out of
might have
Canada.
been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I still got some issues in my collection.
yeah, Robert Kennedy.
Yeah,
So there was a lot of conventional publishing companies and media companies that carried it. I mean, women's bodybuilding. The Olympia was on Wide World of Sports at one time. I mean,
hmm
it
yeah.
was it
Mm.
was it was that it was they really had high hopes for women's bodybuilding, I guess. And
So what happened? Like why is it like it seemed kind of dead? Like it's not like how it was like in the 80s or the 90s. What you think that is.
Well, think about the '80s, right? What did we have in the '80s?
There was
We
the
had we
exercise
had
craze.
we had Schwarzenegger, we
Mhm.
had Dolph Lundgren, we had
Stallone.
Stallone, we had lots of testosterone in the '80s. We
And
had
then you had TV
sweaty biceps, and then we had the chicks.
and then you had like American Gladiators. That was very
Yeah,
popular.
Yeah,
You
that
had Ray
was my
Holett.
favorite. I used to watch that
Yeah,
a
the
lot.
'80s was all
Sa-
about getting physical, right? Get
hmm
physical, and it was all
yeah.
about aerobics and
hmm
muscle. It was the '80s
Jane
was like,
Fonda.
yeah,
hmm
Jane Fonda's workout, and then Rachel McLeish doing Iron Eagles, and
Corey Everson had her line. She was on the show with Galad every so often on
yeah,
HBN. Yeah,
and then every morning talk show, you know, Sally Jesse Raphael and Jerry Springer.
yeah, you
They always
used to
yeah.
had
have
that.
the
Every
bodybuilder. Yeah,
Morton,
Geraldo.
Morton,
They
Morton,
always had that segment of would you
Morton
be a
Johnny Jr.
bodybuilder? Or, you know,
Yeah, I think Montel was the biggest one. He was the biggest fan of because you saw how I had
Montel,
Dodie Marie.
absolutely.
He had Dodie Marie always come on there for like every other year and lift him up. And he
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
always because I know he had the cover. I have the cover issue of a Muscle of Development with him. I think it was him, Shetty Biddy, and Diane Dennis together.
yeah. He was definitely a fan. He was
Yeah,
definitely.
he was truly because and then Phil Donahue had him, and there was that episode with Charles Perez. You remember we had um Tina Lockwood.
Oh
And I
yeah.
say, yeah, and I remember
I
that.
have a Tina Lockwood story. I have a Tina Lockwood story.
Please, sir, please share.
The Before the internet, this was weird. Now that you mentioned Tina Lockwood, I had an altered state of mind. Um, Lori Fierstein
hmm
was a New York bodybuilder, and she created and promoted a show called The Most Muscular Women in
Women
the
in the
World,
world. Yes, I remember that.
and it was at the Roseland. And I remember going to this had to be '94, whatever.
Mhm.
And I went because I had to go. And I mean it was great. I mean the women all had these different tableaus. I forget who it was who played Cleopatra, and she was brought
I
out.
think that was a
She became a
Woodward. Was it Woodward?
Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
became
yeah,
a judge later on. I saw
yeah,
her
yeah.
not 3 or 4 years ago at a show. She was always judging at a show. I always remembered her.
Mhm.
Always a sweet, really great woman. She came out as Cleopatra, and then I think there was Carla Nelson came out as something, and
I
it
think
was lots of fun. Colette Guman, who looked like a 120-pound version of herself, a very skinny
mm,
Colette Guman,
mhm.
was dressed as some sort of a leopardy woman. She had like
I
animal lines on her, and she did this crazy
mm.
dance. She was still living in Montreal, I think.
and I think Paula Suzuki was dressed in gold or something.
Something,
Yeah.
it was a celebration. It really
hmm
was.
Yeah.
And then Tina Lockwood walked out, and it was like, wow. I mean, that she was it for me. When that woman walked out, there was like, wow. And I left that place saying to myself, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but I have to be part of this world.
Mm.
That was like the first time I was like, I am definitely going to come up with something to do with this business. I don't want to just be a participant. I want to be a creator.
hmm
And then when Rowena and I met, that was really, Rowena. All films without Rowena wouldn't be anything other than a dude buying
Who
muscle magazines. To be honest with you,
who was
so
your favorite?
she really
Oh,
got the ball rolling, and that's But that was the Tina Lockwood story. I couldn't believe Tina Lockwood. It was like she was a cartoon character. She really was an illustration of a
yeah.
female
and
muscle
and
chick.
and the thing about Tina was she was this big girl, but when you hear her talk, she had this very young and feminine young voice. You
Yeah,
didn't think
exactly.
about it
Yeah.
because a lot of other girls, they get the little voice. It sound like Vin Diesel, but she was very. And then she just, like I said, I think after that Charles Perez episode, she just disappeared. No one knows who she's at. She's like Bobby Fischer.
Listen, it's a tough lifestyle, and we do move on.
Mm-hmm.
We do move on. A lot of
Yeah.
people like, whatever happened to Mario Latonen? It's like Mario Latonen. She competed for like 10 years. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people have to like,
Yeah. Go ahead and live your life.
shit happens. Life
Mm-hmm.
life moves on.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
What favorite athlete that you what athlete that you love working with? What are some of the athletes you like?
I like so many of them, but there are some that are just really so much fun to work with. I love, like for instance, I loved working with Maria. Maria was a sweetheart to work with. She just had to stand there and breathe, and it was great footage. Um, I like um, I like Alessandra Alves, the Brazilian girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's fantastic to work with, although she doesn't speak English, but it's still fun to work with her.
Yeah.
I like Heather Polisky. I like um, oh God, there's so many. I don't know what to say.
You ever work with Diane Dennis?
It's funny you mentioned that. I should have worked with Diana Dennis because she was really at her peak when we started our films, but we just never. And I worked with a guy that was friends of hers in New York. Something good, Paul Good. Paul
Oh,
Good. I remember a guy named Paul Good. He was friends with her, and he produced a lot of her photos. He was a photographer. She was very creative, right? Always with cool costumes and presentation. I just never got to work with her. I think
yeah.
that we were still wrapped up in getting our shit together as a company.
Yeah.
That
It's
a
like,
lot of a lot of the greats of the '90s, the '80s and '90s sort of slipped through our fingers. And
yeah.
if you were to think of our films in comic book history terms, I think we started out in the Silver Age of
Yeah.
bodybuilding. The
Where
Yeah.
silver.
do you where do you see all films like the next 10 or 20 years from now?
Oh dear Lord, I don't. Running
I just
itself,
had to come up with
running,
some questions.
produce. Sooner or later, I mean, we can't do this forever. I mean,
Right.
um, we think about that all the time. Rowena and I talk about it all the time. Um, I'm not. You know, I can't. I don't have a crystal ball. Um,
Right.
but I know that for the right now, we produce like we always do. We just keep shooting, and when we get too
I mean,
tired of it, we'll stop.
do you get like employees or like
No,
try to recruit people or anything like that? Nah.
no, it's just me and her. We just,
Mhm.
Oh wow.
I do the shooting, and I communicate with the models or the dudes that are in the scenes, you
Mhm.
know.
Oh, okay.
And she runs the nuts and bolts of the company.
So this is just
Oh,
it's just a team thing effort. No other people, no undercutting anything. Just y'all, you and
There
your
really
wiener.
there really isn't. There really isn't. Occasionally
mm,
we need help with, maybe we do something that needs us, some special effects, or some
right.
bullets bouncing off of a girl's chest or something. But most of the time, yeah, it's just the two of us. And occasionally we try to work with other videographers. Um, we're not. It's a little difficult because we do have a particular look to the way we shoot stuff, and a lot of guys,
Mm,
a lot of camera guys aren't so. They're not inventive, I guess. It's not even
mm,
inventive. I feel as if a lot of times when we hire a photographer or a videographer, they shoot it like they're not even attracted to the girl. I can't tell. But when I'm shooting them in 5 minutes, sooner or later, I'm going to be on my knees shooting them.
And I
And
think
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think what it is, it's about you have a passion for it compared to the other guys. They're just going there, just rolling with punches, and just trying to get a check. And if the girls feel
mm,
comfortable with you and they want to work with you, that's a good thing. I mean, like I said, right now. I'm just looking at the website right now. I'm seeing people like Barbara Carita. I've seen some old pictures of Denise Messino. You see some up and coming legends. I see right now. I see this one lady. She's a Brazilian. Her name is Ana Alexa. And she just
Anna
I think
Alexa. Anna
yeah,
Alexa, she she is a big girl.
yeah.
She
You know,
is a big girl. Her back is insane. Her lat spread is
Mhm.
great.
you
And
know who?
she's so cute too.
Yeah,
I mean,
she reminds me of Carla Nelson. Remember Carla Nelson back in the day?
of course, of
Yeah, she
course.
has.
Yeah.
They had that.
Carla
They
Nelson
have.
and a little Paula Suzuki too.
Yeah, she has that the big
Oh,
muscular
Suzuki.
body and like a little cute little girl face kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I follow her on social media. Also a bunch of others. These are some great legends here. I mean, some of these ladies, you still some women in the game who are like, if I see like Diane Dance comes out so often on YouTube. She does live streams and she still looks good. A woman's like 52
Does
years
she
old.
really? I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah, she used to come on every so often, and she does do live streams on YouTube, and she talks about things. She a while back she ran and did a marathon because one thing she has scoliosis real bad, and she can't. That's why
Oh, I
she
didn't know that.
retired. Yeah, that's why she retired from bodybuilding because that scoliosis is bothering her. But she was, I think, Denise brought a level of sexist flex appeal when she came to the game.
Absolutely. And God, I have to say my first VHS of a female bodybuilder was Denise Messina working out in the gym. And I honestly, I never really got past the first 7 minutes of the video. Okay, I just kept stopping at that 7 minute mark. I was kind of done. She
Yeah,
she
yeah,
she was the one for me. And I never worked with Denise, although we worked together as a business. She had Muscle Elegance magazine,
yeah.
and we were big advertisers in Muscle Elegance. We were very supportive and admirers of what she and her husband at the time, Dave,
Robert,
Robert, Robert,
Robert,
who's an
Robert
amazing
Messina.
photographer, by the way. Robert Messino, marine photography. He shoots all kinds of marine life in Fort Myers. Great
Yeah.
photographer.
Actually, I have a lady who I'm friends with. Her name's Marianne Wachowski. I think you know of her. And she,
Sounds
I don't know if you
familiar.
met her name is Marianne, and she was trained by Robert, and they work together. And I know with, I'm trying to remember. I remember when those Muscle Elegant movies came out. Those were really like for big fans. Truthfully, they were like playboys because
Well, she was like the first one that said, you know what, this is about for her. She saw the sexuality of female bodybuilding, and we would never as our Rowena and I never really produced stuff that was hardcore. That
hmm
wasn't really. We were more fetishistic and more sensual. It takes a bit more imagination, believe it or not, to not shoot sex.
yeah.
But she
I
she was like, no, man, this is what we do, and this is, and no apologies, and they did it very successfully. And I mean, she's got she had real vision and balls. I
hmm
really got to say.
Yeah, yeah. Because
I
I
have a
mean,
question
They
for
still
both of you.
does.
I have
go
a
ahead.
question for you. Like, have you ever been like embarrassed of being attracted to a female bodybuilder, like around people at times?
Why should I?
I
I'm just saying,
No.
just
In fact,
asking,
I
because
think it's an
Yeah,
sometimes
interesting
it
wait a second, interesting
yeah.
question. The answer is absolutely positively no.
Mm-hmm.
And to a great extent, the whole purpose of all films, because I remember going to these shows. I remember one time going to a show. I didn't realize I went to Boston to see I thought was a show with 4 or 5 different women bodybuilders, and it was a bunch of guys breathing very heavily and not talking to each other, and kind of sheepishly walking around, and I'm like, no, all films is not about that. And Rowena and I were very clear. We are. This is what we do. We like it.
right.
And we celebrate the business, the art of female muscle. So no, I've never. I don't think we would be able to do anything for any period of time if we were ashamed or embarrassed or we can't live like that. We can't
Well,
live
Man.
Well, I went to my first bodybuilding show because for a long time I usually was working. I didn't have a lot of time, or I was either was broke or something like that. And I went to my first bodybuilding show just this September. I went to Savannah. Where I live, I'm only 2 miles from South Carolina. I went to Savannah,
Right.
and I
That
got
was a great show.
yeah, I actually got to meet a woman you might know. Annie Rivicchio was there.
Of course, I know Annie. We go way
Yeah,
back.
I know.
Of
And she just
course, I know Annie.
and she just even though she's a woman, she still looks amazing. I got to meet Alina Popa. I met
Alina Popa. Yeah.
yeah, Donna Salib. We got to talk there. Also,
You
I know
lucky, George.
yeah, I saw Linda Murray. She was up in the front with the judges like that. She smiled at me. I even saw another lady who on my channel I don't speak her name, but I got to see her, and it was a great experience, to be there and see some of these ladies and just I actually my first time I actually meeting a bodybuilder was like I said I talked about my friend Glenn. He lives like about a good ways from where I live in North Carolina, and he had his magazine had a release party, and I got to meet a couple ladies who I did interviews with, like Amanda Snooks, Mary Ann. There was also some ladies who were amateur level bodybuilders. There was also a couple of professionals, and it was a great experience for me to meet these
Right.
women in real life in person.
Yeah.
And just I was just also a while back I got to also meet this summer Rashana Boswell, IFBB Pro, a
Oh
couple
yeah.
of upcoming amateurs.
Sure.
Carol Rouse is also IFBB Pro. To meet
Uh huh.
these ladies and and to talk to them and in person and or like I said, do my interviews mostly like this through StreamYard and just I become friendly with them. Sometimes we talk and converse and and who you still have some good relationships with the ladies that you used to shoot with?
Do I what?
Have good relationships with ladies you used to shoot with, like you still talk or speak on
Oh,
good terms.
absolutely, absolutely. No, no. It's always. Some of them we have stronger relationships with. I mean Annie, for crying out loud. We go way back, and I adore her. She's really a great person, and we help each other out on occasion. With scheduling and stuff like that. Alina Popa, my God, I mean, the first time I worked with her was in Dusseldorf, Germany,
Mm.
2005. She was pudgy and she wore square glasses. She was
That's when she
awesome.
had the short blonde hair.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So and Linda Murray, I never worked with Linda Murray. She was already a gigantic star by the time we
Mhm.
started off film. She was an Olympiad, what, 50,000 times or something? I lost count.
Yeah, because I figure
Yeah,
from not after Corey left, she took over. Then you had to switch over with Kim Zavetsky those last few years, and then
yeah,
you had one year where they had two Miss Olympias. It's just the sport has changed over the years since I've been watching it, and even though
absolutely.
like yeah, I mean it's still surviving. It's always been talks about putting a nail in the coffin in bodybuilding, especially for the women.
Check
But
your connection. Check your mic. Is your mic okay?
mine's okay. Let me put myself on mute. Go ahead and talk, Kale, while I'm.
Yeah. I want to ask you something like, have you ever dated a female bodybuilder or anything
Oh,
like that?
it's your mic.
Is mine?
I think so because he's on mute.
Oh, yeah. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, they kind of acts funny. I don't know what's
Okay.
going on. Tell you the truth.
You have a question.
Yeah. Have you ever dated a female bodybuilder?
I think being married to Rowena is enough of.
Oh, Rowena.
I think
Okay.
I'm done. I think I'm done. I think I'm done.
Oh, she was. Oh, she was like the first.
No, she wasn't the first, but she's the final.
Okay.
She's not the
Okay.
she's not the first, but she's the
Uh,
last.
all right.
You remember that.
You know,
But
you
like
know the expression of the pizza box. You tried the rest. No, try
you
the
got the
best.
best. Yeah, I understand that. But like I said, yeah, it's just amazing about the sport. Like on my channel, like I said, I do a lot of content, and I talk about the ladies. Ever since I started this, I really learned some stuff about them, like the stuff to go through. We do my interviews, my
Hold on,
conversations.
guys.
He'll be right back. And I learned some stuff through my interviews and conversation with these ladies about what they go through, especially when they're training, they're prepping, and and as fans, we appreciate like when I like one thing I do like I send like when I do my interviews, I send little packages for them and say appreciation for them, and they really like that because the fact is they don't get enough support. They tell me like sometimes it's hard for them when you have to, especially when you have to deal with everybody else's prejudice of them because they're not what they want to think of what women supposed to be. Like I said, I'm from the South,
Right.
and our women are a little bit more full figure, a little more healthy. You don't see women like that walking around here unless you go to like Texas is a big growing mecca for bodybuilding now. California used to
Oh, yeah.
be like that.
A
Uh,
lot of Texas.
yeah, Florida is always been like that.
Another
New
one.
York, yeah, New York is kind of like people like I got a lady. I don't know if you know her. We've been talking. I was doing a live stream. We've been talking back and forth a little bit. Her name is Tisha Thomas. They call her Tigress.
Oh yeah,
And
of course. You live in
yeah,
Brooklyn.
and and she's in Germany, and we're supposed to be doing an interview in a couple of weeks because she's expanded. She got into sport because she was overweight, and that's one thing I got. You find these things
Yeah.
about these women, you find some commonality with them, like, especially what they go through. Like I just did an interview a couple of days ago, with a lady. Her name is Brittany. She's from Texas, and how she got into the sport of bodybuilding. She was weights and stuff like that, and I think people got to realize they're still women. They're not, yes, they are bigger
Yes,
than
they
life,
are.
but it's still women. If you treat a woman like a woman, even though hey, I've seen guys like some of these women are big, big, huge, and they be with guys who look like regular little guys, like just everyday guys. Yes, there's some women who I know some who are married to guys who are in the sport. Sometimes the relationships don't work out. Like Catherine Francois, she was married to Lee Priest, and now she's remarried again to a guy who looks like kind of like you with hair.
So he's better looking, obviously.
I wouldn't say he's bad looking, but he's got
But,
hair.
but the bottom line is you just you just gotta be you have to treat people nice.
Hmm.
It's like everybody deserves respect. And and on the other hand, as a fan, sometimes we have such a fantasy in our head over we've been fantasizing about these women so much. It's such a powerful fantasy that that we on the one hand we're intimidated by them, but on the other hand we can actually disrespect them by simply not being cool.
Hmm.
We can get weird, and sometimes the fans are the most critical of the female bodybuilding world. They can be completely, they get so sensitive and offended by things that they consider slights because the model doesn't have time for them or doesn't answer them, or
Hmm.
it's a weird thing. We just have to be cool.
Yeah,
That's
because
all that matters. Just treat people with respect and understand that they have a life and you have a life. And think about look, you ever have dinner with a female bodybuilder?
No.
90% of the conversation,
not yet. I have not.
90% of the
I mean,
Well,
conversation is about food.
actually, I kind of I was at a banquet. I ate with some ladies. I did talk to some of them, but I was like I said, this is my first time there, and I was kind of nervous. But I did talk to a couple of ladies that I
Yeah.
knew because we talked before. But others, I started. I had sometimes I tell my partner here. Sometimes you have to get out of your shell. You have to get out of your own way, and you gotta like anything. Like it's like you remember when Julia Roberts married Lyle Lovett, and it's some of the most attractive women in the world that intimidate even the most good-looking guys. But all it takes is that one dude to say, you know what, I'm going to approach her. I'm going to treat her like a woman. I'm not going to get too creepy. I'm just not going to like. Don't be grabbing and touching on them. Stand a distance.
Why
Talk to him
not?
like a
You would do
woman.
that to somebody in the elevator. You wouldn't do
Yeah,
that to a woman. Come on.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
a
What?
hard
Yeah.
time.
Hey, you there? You all right? Yeah.
yeah, it just thing up.
All right. Yeah. But
Well, the phone was a little funky,
It
but
was right
we're
off the
getting through it.
computer. It's
yeah. But yeah, if you really have to realize that they're like I said again, they're women. And if you respect a woman, she respects you. And also, even though hey, they're big muscular women, they still like to have a man to be a man. And some of us got to realize that we have to play our role. I know some ladies said they had their husbands that support them, that cook their help them with their prep and stuff like that, and do little things for them that women enjoy. Sometimes even come home and like after doing a show, rub their feet a little bit, or when they work out. We can't forget that part about that. Yes, they have muscles. Yes, they're bigger than some any women are, but they're still women.
they're people,
I
you
mean, real
know,
quick. I
and
mean, no, go ahead.
Well,
I just wanted to say, like, for me, it's not even easy for me, like, to kind of interact with regular women. Like, so I mean, of course, I talk to regular women, but it, like, with these women, sometimes, I mean, every period. I mean, they have their moods, they act funny, and so it's like it's,
well, that's what
it's
any
not really
woman.
easy. And some of them got their ego. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But a lot of them, they got seem like they got egos too.
But the thing you got to remember
And
this.
and I'm trying to understand that. I'm trying to understand them.
But you got
It's
to
not
you got
easy. Go
to.
ahead.
But that's you got to understand this. They'll get more scrutinized than regular women. They have to have people eyeball
Mm,
them every single day. You have to be patient with. When
in
my
a
deals
positive
with
way and in a negative way, right?
yeah, you have guys who over sexualize them, and you have guys who
right.
will just see them as a monster or something like that. Like when I do my videos, like you KO, you see my stuff I post. When I do my videos and I talk about like I do things called comparison videos. I got the idea from a guy named Max Muscle. He was doing with men, and I started doing with women. And some of the ladies see the videos and say, you know what? You like one time this lady told me you didn't over sexualize the stuff. You talked about the muscle detail. You talked about us as a person. And that's the thing is,
Right.
sometimes
As
you're
an
gonna have
athlete, as an athlete, yeah.
yeah, and you sometimes gonna have some women gonna get bitter. You're gonna have some bitter. And that's just how it is. I know I didn't there's a lovely lady, her name is Capucine. Lovely lady. She's been through a lot. And we still talk. And sometimes, sometimes just want to have somebody to listen to them. Sometimes that's the thing is women just like to have a man to listen. They don't want to you solve their problem. They just want to hear the problem. And then they feel like
Right.
they want, if they want some advice, they'll take it. But other times just they want to sit there just, just absorb everything as a sponge and listen. And you have to be patient. Sometimes, I had yeah, guys, we can take rejection a lot better than women. You know, women they can't take it as much as if you go, it's go like this. Remember, there was a study. I was talking to somebody. There was a study where they went and they sent out these people out. It was I think it was a social scientist. He
Right.
sent out a man and a woman and talked to 10 men and 10 women. So okay, the guy asked 10 women he have sex with them. He got turned down by all 10 women. The woman asked all 10 men he have sex with them. They said yes. Sometimes it's about what people want and what they're looking for. Women are not as it's not say, hey, you want to have sex? No, that's not women. Men, if you say you want to have sex, yeah, hell yeah. But if you talk to a lady and talk to her kindly, say this, don't touch her, don't approach her, be respectful. If she has attitude, then you know what? Back away. Like, just take a
Right.
situation like that, walk away from it and move on. Like I say, I've seen things to some ladies and they, say, nah, I don't want to do that. I said, fine, just move on to the next one. Sometimes you're gonna get a bunch of no's, but you'll get that one yes, and one yes this is a great thing. You have them on, you talk, have a good conversation, you just make them feel comfortable. That's what all women like to feel. Is they like to feel comfortable.
So do
That's true.
so does
I could agree.
anybody. Anybody wants to feel comfortable, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing. I mean, look, obviously the image of a female bodybuilder to fans of female bodybuilders, if you're attracted to a female bodybuilder, that's a very strong image. That goes to your subconscious, to your sexual urges. It's a powerful image. So obviously
Right.
a certain amount of sense of intimidation and awkwardness when you're finally confronted with a fantasy, but they're not a fantasy. They are real. The fantasy is in your head. You have to you have to you know you have to reconcile that your attraction and your fantasy is yours, and this is a model that's completely detached. It does have no idea of what your fan. They might have an idea that you're freaking out about them, but it's your fantasy, and you got to treat them like a person, and control yourself. I don't
Right.
know what else to say.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very
Mhm.
powerful thing. When people objectify, and for the truth of the matter is, all films objectifies. We 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 focus on the the physical attraction of a female bodybuilder. We're not talking about
I
their
I had a
competition.
question.
You know. Yeah.
How do
What's
you like no, like how do you view like the sexual revolution, like in a so if I could say that right, the best way you can answer it, like how everything is sexualized, and all these stuff they come in your mind, like you said before. You have to kind of differentiate the fantasy from the reality. And a lot of things, it's like, I would say men and women, contribute to that, you know, and it kind of like gets out of control. Let's not even go to female bodybuilders. It's like in music, like with the Cardi B or Meg
oh,
The
any
Stallion and all that stuff. All that stuff
toothpaste
comes in your
commercial?
mind,
Doesn't
and
matter. It could be selling soap. It could be anything. It's going to be sexualized if they want to sell soap. Well, first of all, I haven't heard the phrase sexual revolution since 1966. But having said that,
I'm sorry.
it's funny because a lot of I think that unfortunately or whatever with VR glasses and all this other jazz, I think that for a lot of people they can become even more detached from reality and more immersed in their fantasy, and they become very socially retarded. When it comes
Mhm.
to relationships with people, because we're able to become more and more and more isolated within our fantasies and our own interests. And
Yeah,
you put on these VR glasses, and it's you know you could
yeah,
spend. Apparently, people are spending hours a day on these things,
yeah.
and
Like
you know,
like with cybersectors was getting popular. Like when I first got my first computer, I used to go to chat rooms and message boards, talk to guys who've been to shows. This is a true story. I remember this one guy. He told me that he used to go travel every so often. He used to set, he was a big bodybuilder fan. He used to always go to shows, and he'll set when do his travel schedule. He told me one time he went to this show, and he just came in right about the finals of the nationals, and he was sitting in the row. He was sitting right beside a couple of people. One of the trainers that were ladies at the final pose down. So he hears something in the back. He don't know what it was. Hears this noise. And is these two big security guys dragging this guy off with his pants around his leg. And yeah. And he said, "What the hell is that? What's going on?" Because he comes to see the show. He likes to watch. He likes to watch the men and the women. And he asked the guy, said, what's happening? Say, and the trainer, who's one of the women's trainers, said to them, "Oh, that guy's come about every other show. I'm surprised they haven't banned him because some guys can go a little overboard."
yeah, yeah.
guys, my batteries is dying. I have one more question for you. Who would you want to work with, past or present? In
Oh my God. For for what reasons? I mean, sometimes they're just so much fun to be around that there's
How
that.
how
But
about
right.
like a boxing thing? I know you love boxing stuff. Like mixed cross boxing, so like a fight fetish thing.
who would I like? Oh my God. Uh, for old time's sake, I miss Melissa Detwiller. I think that's who I would like
Oh,
to see
yeah,
again.
because
Oh,
yeah, a while
I
back
gotta Google her.
she got remarried some time ago, and now she's going through cancer because
Yeah,
her husband got
Hmm.
serious
yeah,
problems with breast cancer and all that
yeah,
other jazz.
yeah.
And
Her
I miss
husband, he
her
was
a
arrested for
lot
some.
because she was a very special person. I
Yeah, she was
really,
beautiful.
I really
Yeah,
had a
she
good
still
time
looks
with her.
good.
I'm glad. I remember I was following her GoFundMe and contributing to that on off and on. But I do miss the times with Melissa, and I if I could just turn the clock back, I think it would be an afternoon shooting with Melissa Detwiller. I think
And
that
maybe
would.
with let's throw in I'm trying to think of. So my current, I would say someone who I really like who's current. Who's very beautiful, great physique. I would say this girl named Angela uh, Yao. She is you.
Oh yeah.
She's competing in Olympia
Oh
Yes.
this
my God.
next
What
week.
great vibe.
She does a lot of very artistic into. She's very
Oh yeah,
hard
she's
stuff.
totally like she's very
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
erotic,
seen her
mean
very
stuff.
sensual,
she just and
and
she
very
has that great
creative.
she has a great look because she's half Japanese, I believe, and and
Is
just
she really? I didn't
yeah, I
know
Yeah,
that.
believe
I had a feeling she beat you.
yeah.
Yeah, but just a really great vibe and
Oh,
really just a total muscle babe. Yeah, I love her.
All right, yeah. You're the man at the
we
head,
had a
but
lot of comments. So, um, I read some comments a little bit. Rolando G. Oh yeah, Christina Envo. Yeah, I got an old video of her.
yeah.
He says, yes, like when you had Lisa Cross,
Hmm.
he
Like
looks
Stanley
like the
Tucci.
Stanley
Yes, I
Tucci.
do. Yeah, I can
Oh,
stand it.
creative.
Lisa Cross, another one I like working with.
Yeah,
Lisa
because
Cross is a lot of
yeah,
fun.
because she just came back and she's competed last month. She hit the Rising Phoenix, and she still looks great. Maintaining her muscle level. I mean, not like when she first came to the game, she was amazing. Her and Virginia Sanchez came about the same time back in 2013 when they and those two ladies, they're still holding up pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm,
Christina Envol.
okay.
yeah, because she
Let's
just
check
turned.
out.
I think
Well, you have a fellow.
Don't like egos.
Ronaldo is. I noticed Ronaldo is saying that the girls can be egotistical.
well, Ronaldo, so can some of the guys.
Well, I think that you do. I mean, think about the focus you have to have. Think
Hmm.
about the sacrifice and the focus. You really do have
Hmm.
to. You have to really be egotistical, and at the
Hmm.
same time hypercritical
Mm,
about yourself. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
these women, male bodybuilders too, they look at themselves
yeah,
and they're hypercritical, and I think they have to have that ego to sort of balance out their hypercritical, self-critical nature.
yeah.
I think.
Steve, you remember the movie Dolores Claiborne with Kathy Bates?
What's it called?
It's called Dolores Claiborne and Kathy Bates. There's a part of the movie where she was this woman, she was working for this witch woman, and the witch woman told her, Dolores, all a woman has in life is being a bitch. And sometimes that's, it's not bad. It's not like it's a bad thing we say, but this is sometimes you have to be what you need to be. So, especially in this business, you have to deal with, people's prejudice. You have to deal with, ignorance. You have to deal with sometimes just, trying to make your way into something sport, which is considered a man's sport. And I think it's a lot harder for these women. Some people got to realize that. You got to be patient with them. But sometimes you're going to have some women that, like I was dealing with a situation with for somebody who I don't have a lot of respect for. But the fact is, some of these other ladies that I've dealt with, they're really a really good women. They just have to be cautious who they deal with, and you know that from first hand. So yeah, I know.
Of course,
mm.
of course. No,
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry for the inconvenience, but my batteries look like it's gonna die, and if I plug my phone into the outlet, that
That's
sound gonna act up, man. I mean, you guys need to do like maybe George, I'll probably connect you with him with the
well, if you
IG
want,
and stuff like that.
well,
Could,
shoot in my eye. If
and
you
you
like I
could
say,
probably
if you like I say, if you're interested, maybe later down because I got a couple interviews coming up. If you have the time and you have the freedom to, we can shoot. We can talk this and
yeah.
maybe, yeah.
No, absolutely. Stay in touch with me, and we'll do one of these again.
All right, I got you, brother. I
yeah.
appreciate it.
I'm always happy to talk about the business
I'm
and the
always,
girls.
yeah. Like I said, my experience, I get to relearn some people and talk with them, and I'm really, like somebody like yourself, like you, and as you know, like I said, Bill Dobbins just did a photo session with somebody, and and people like y'all the guys who really made it for us guys who are fanning these ladies. You, Bill
Oh,
Dobbins, Steve Winterstrom. I mean,
Steve
uh,
Winterstrom, my God, Steve Winterstrom, what a diehard. He wouldn't give up film.
because
That was
yeah,
the thing with Steve. He wouldn't shoot digital. He wanted to
yeah,
shoot film. Yeah,
because remember he was married to Lisa Rio.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she was beautiful, beautiful Southern lady too. She was from I think Alabama, or Mississippi.
I think she's
All
from
right.
Alabama. I think it's
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah. Well, okay, that's cool. Okay, I'll let you know. Appreciate it.
No, it'll be my
Yeah, I
pleasure.
really appreciate you guys coming through. Thank you, man. This was cool.
Listen, thanks for touching base with me. I enjoy doing this. I do these on
Not a
occasion.
problem.
There are guys out there that are true believers, and we need
I
to
got one more
you know
question for you.
we need to stick together, fellas. We need to stick
Yeah,
together.
yeah, like
We're a
stick,
small
stick,
we're a small
smoke,
family.
smokes forever, smoke for life.
I
Smoke
got a question for you. Is there any advice for somebody that want to do something like similar to you, similar than what you doing? Like
the only advice
throw
is
it out
to
there.
do it. You can use your phone.
Right.
Your cell phones have great cameras on them, and the only way to do it is to do it and to fail and pick it up again and try it again and just keep working at it.
Like Steve, one of my favorite
I
quotes
just
is like,
found a bodybuilder. That's all.
yeah, Steve, one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies, Batman Begins, when Thomas Wayne says to his son, Bruce, why do we fall? So we learn to pick ourselves up.
So we learn to pick ourselves up.
Yes, and he'll learn. Yeah,
I
we gotta learn.
sometimes look at what I shot in the day. Rowena and I were just talking about it today. We were talking about how we're having a hard time finding other cameramen to work for us, and how terrible. I wasn't terrible, but I look at the footage from the beginning, and it's like, oh my god, I didn't know
Mm.
my ass had a hole in the ground. At least I know my ass now. I don't know where the hole in the ground is, but
Well, you learn. You learn. You learn.
This was
getting
inspiring,
better
man.
every day.
This was inspiring.
Cool.
Mhm.
All
Well, I
right.
appreciate you just coming through. My batteries is dying, man. I'm sorry for that.
Don't apologize, man. Just one of these
George,
things that happen.
What are you talking about? We got a
yeah.
solid hour in. You got a solid
Yeah,
hour of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
show.
yeah. I'm
yeah.
just,
I've done interviews about. Hey, Kale, you see my stuff. I've done interviews just about an hour, and that's good.
yeah,
You can get these ladies to talk to you more than an
yeah.
hour. Anybody talk to you more than an hour. That is good.
Yeah.
You did a
No,
good job.
Right.
You didn't really
I
need me
think
here.
Thank you.
I think we should sign off when we're on a high note.
Yeah, like ah, and yes, and that's all, folks. Ah.
All
So
right.
seriously,
Well,
I really
thank you
appreciate
both.
the conversation.
Yeah.
No problem.
So
It's not a problem.
All right.
till then,
All right.
keep in touch with me.
Well then, no problem.
Evening.
I will.
All right. Bye bye.
I'm gonna send the IG to George.
Yes, please.